Hey man, how's it going?
Not too bad. Howdy doody. It's nice out today. I was gonna go for a drive, but then I'm
Nice.
like, if I go for a drive, I'll spend some money, and I can't afford to spend money at the moment.
Oh, so you just lock yourself inside to make sure you don't spend any money. That's a good plan actually.
Oh, it's so
Make sure
boring.
to
And
always have
now
things
that
to
I know
do
that
at
I'm
home.
stuck, that's all I've been doing. So
Sure.
thankfully,
Yeah, you need.
every Thursday, which it isn't today, I've got to do this with you. But you pushed it back, and why? Why, Anthony?
Well, we don't always do it Thursdays, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't come out on Thursdays anyway, right? But
I guess
no,
so.
well, I
Yeah.
guess you can always just watch another episode of Futurama, and that's my clumsy way of bringing us back. So welcome back, everybody to Bite My Shiny Metal Cast. Today's episode 4 of season 3. Finally, Parasites Lost. This is like one of the top-notch episodes of the series for many, 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 many people. I think like they'll recite this as probably one of their favorite episodes of all time. Do you agree with that notion? That's probably the thing, right?
You know what? If I was going to say, I think people would argue that Jurassic Park would probably be one of the most well-known ones and maybe most sought-after Futurama episodes, which you and I both say
Jurassic
it's
Park,
yeah,
like
the
the
one
one with
with
the dog.
Seymour. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Which you and I agree due to was it the Comedy Central run? No, it was the movies. It was the
It was the
movies.
movies. It was the
Yeah,
first movie.
the
Yeah.
movies have made
Don't
it
make it as
non.
sad anymore.
They don't
Yeah.
make it as sad anymore.
Yeah, but
But
this episode is like clearly the most like referenced in like except for maybe when they go back in time. But this episode has like
no, I'm
I
going
mean
to disagree
not
with you on that one. It's a good episode and people love it. Yes, but I don't think
yes
it's like the penultimate, the ultimate Futurama
no, but
episode.
I'd say it's one of the best made though. It's definitely like it has like a really good storyline, which we'll get into here in a second.
Oh yes, of course.
But it also has like the first appearance of literal first appearance of Scruffy in real life, but also it has the holophoner. It has like all these things, and then of course it
Yes.
really touches upon like Fry and Leela's relationship. Like this is a very important episode, I would say, for this. But it's just
Oh
a
yeah.
very well made one, right? Like the shrinking, all that stuff. But yeah, we'll get into it here. Yeah, the opening caption: "If not entertaining, write your congressman." Right. So, don't complain to us, complain to your congressman type of thing. And we have no cold open, obviously. I don't think we actually have any in the anymore. So they're
No, I
completely
think it was
gone
just like
now.
the first season in a bit.
First season in a little bit. So, yeah, we open on a space convoy, playing a nice song, Space Convoy, with the trio and they're in the Planet Express crew and they're traveling through space. And I guess they need some gas. So they land in this little space truck stop, so to speak, on the side of the, well, I was going to say the side of the highway, but they're not really on they're just in
Spaceway.
space. It's just side, yeah, spaceway, space highway, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, Leela's going to get some gas. Bender's getting some ethanol, so to speak, for himself, and then he lights a
Now,
cigarette, blows himself up.
I have a
And
problem
yeah,
with this because they've already
yeah, go for it.
established that oh no, I guess they haven't, but they will have established that those dark matter balls is what's supposed to be gas right now, power.
Well, so that's the dark matter. That's what they're using for the ship. It says on the machines, it says dark matter, but Bender's using a different one, which is ethanol and methanol,
Oh.
and that's why he's drinking that because that's for the bending robots, and then or for robots in
Only ever
general.
see two. We only ever see two, but they're one of the most common robots ever.
Yeah, I know. And then yeah, he blows himself
Oh,
up
and
because
tonic.
he's lighting a cigar or whatever, and he blows his head off, and then Fry uses the public restroom at the truck stop, which is never a good sign when you really have to go, but it's one of those things, and this one's not really
No,
kept.
personal experience, I've never liked them
Mm.
because like they're not well kept.
Yeah, this one was bad from
Yeah.
what we could see with Fry. But anyway, he's also kind of hungry. So we see on the thing he has like there's like some kind of bar. I think it's a ripoff of Star Wars. It's like what is that, an Alder Rocker bar or something, some kind of weird chocolate bar
Yeah.
thing, I guess. And then there was another thing in the middle. I actually forgot what it was, but what was it? It was
It was Combs.
oh,
Oh,
the
sorry,
comb,
what are you talking
right.
about? Are you talking about the dispenser
So that,
thing?
yeah, that thing, the combs, right? Like it says like in quotations it has like good combs,
Fresh.
fresh cones.
Yeah,
right?
there's
No,
Aldebaran.
fresh is the other thing. Fresh is the egg salad sandwich.
Yeah, I don't know. They're all 50 cents, 75 cents, and then the sandwich was 25 cents.
What was the middle one? The cone.
Breakable
right?
cone. It was a breakable cone.
Combs. Thank you. Yes, breakable combs. And then yes, the in quotes fresh egg salad sandwich.
I never noticed the quote part about it. Yeah, that's funny.
So Fry puts in some money, right, and he gets this fresh egg salad sandwich, and he starts eating it, and there's like a black tomato, which they make a comment on, and he says it's just, what does he say?
Right. It's like a party in my mouth, but everyone's vomiting.
And everybody is doing their thing. Leela's I think she's just washing the windshield.
Yeah, yeah. But I love this too because it's on a spaceship, which is like 40 feet in the air, kind of thing. She has to go in a little like hover trolley to go up there with a giant squeegee. And what is it? There's a space bug. There is a
Hubble telescope.
a little Saturn-like planet, and then the Voyager.
Oh, the Voyager, sorry, right. Yeah. The Voyager. So she has to scrape all those off with like one of those squeegee things that you get at a gas station. So with this gas station as well, we have these three truckers, and among them is somebody we've seen a few times, Sal, who he's the big fat guy, big whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, look at that chick, like she looks pretty good or whatever. They start moves on you. Yeah, I do like. There's a little joke in here. They say like, oh, it's like one of them things that looks like what we have on our mud flaps, and then the other guy says like Yosemite Sam.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
They're talking about women, but then he actually has Yosemite Sam on him or something. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I believe, like that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is obviously John DiMaggio is playing Sal. I think it's David Herman playing the Yosemite Sam guy because he shows up again a couple of times.
I think that guy's name is legit Luigi.
Is it just Luigi or something? Okay.
We saw him in the one where Amy and Fry start to hook up on the Sun Planet. And he was the one that.
Is he the tow truck driver?
Yeah, he was a tow truck driver.
I don't know if it might be the same character model. I don't think it's the same guy.
At that point, he might not have been established yet. He might not have been established.
I think he's very much a tow truck driver in this one, right? But not a tow truck, rather. He's very much a trucker driver of some sort. Yeah. And they're not really driving trucks. Obviously, they're ships. But yes. So in any case, Sal is putting the moves on Leela. He's saying, whoa, like, whoa, whatever. He's trying to be sexy in some form. Leela's not paying any mind, but Fry gets annoyed. And so he starts trying to defend Leela. And, of course, as Fry is one to do, he fails horribly. He says, like, all the wrong things. Everything Sal says, he, like, completely flips it on itself and makes it even worse for Leela, to which she has to go and retrieve him and pull him away.
I think my favorite one of this is when she's like, she's quite meaty, and she's like, and then Fry's like, she's got more meat than a cow.
She doesn't have enough meat for me, is what Sal says. And he says she's got plenty of meat, meaning like fat, right?
Like so more meat than a cow.
More meat than a cow, and then they're like all laughing at him. So yeah. And then he says something along the lines of like, well, how would you like it if she came and said like she wanted to put the moves on you, like as if it's an insult.
I got 3 minutes.
Fry is just he means the best, but he's just an idiot. He just doesn't know any better. So, any case, Leela pulls him aside. They cut back to Fry and Bender sitting in the Planet Express crew headquarters or whatever, and Fry's kind of down because he tried to impress her, tried to help her out, but he ended up failing. So Bender reminds them that they need to go fix a boiler, and this is where we get to see them go down in the basement of this place. And we actually physically see Scruffy, this time not in the what if machine. This is actually Scruffy, to which they've never met him.
It's canon.
Yeah, they've never met him. So Bender says like the line like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Scruffy, the janitor." That Scruffy's always reading or always doing something like inappropriate. So what is he reading, like zero G jugs or something? It's the magazine.
Yeah, it's always like a space porn. Yeah, zero G jugs.
Yeah, he's always reading space porn.
It's always it's always like space themed too. It's like zero G, I think like big moons or something. I can't remember them all. But like, they're always like space innuendos.
Yes, so he always has some kind of thing going on, but he never does his work, or he's rarely doing his work, I should say. And so they have to go down there to fix the boiler. So Bender does all the work while Fry is kind of there being mopey or whatever. And as Fry believes that he's fixed the boiler, unfortunately it explodes and causing steam and all this problems and everything, and hits everybody, including Scruffy. But we don't actually see what happened to Scruffy. I guess he's fine.
Oh, marmalade.
Marmalade. And here we are. Fry's in Dr. Zoidberg's office. He got hurt, and everybody's in there except for except for Scruffy. But everybody's in there, and it turns out there's a lead pipe through Fry, just a legit lead pipe from the boiler explosion.
I do love this line from Zoidberg, like, it's the hypochondriac again. What's wrong with you this time? My lead pipe hurts a little. That's normal. Next normal. Patient.
The thing is, though, neither of them are wrong in that situation. Yes, the lead pipe does hurt. True. Yeah, and he's like, that's normal. But he's saying, like, yeah, why are you here? That's normal for you to feel pain, right? But in any case, as they're getting through all this stuff, suddenly they hear, like, sawing. And it turns out that the lead pipe just falls out of Fry's stomach, and all of his insides, I guess, kind of get covered up, but it's led to believe that they heal. Everything heals.
Knit back together with lasers and stuff.
Yeah, some kind of weird technology just completely takes over. And so everyone's like, whoa, that's weird, even for the future. Very weird. What's going on here? So Fry admits to eating some kind of sandwich and like, okay, we're going to have to do some kind of test. So all the Planet Express crew, because they have no boundaries, go behind a two-way mirror, and they watch as Zoidberg shoves a one of those microscopic cameras right into Fry's ass. I do like as well when like when he says like, we have to shove this camera down you or whatever, and then Fry opens
up, yeah.
Yes, again.
Yeah, and the happy face down to the sad face.
So, and my other favorite joke about this is actually a really well made scene, but like when all of them are watching, they all somehow also have popcorn. And so it's a film for them, so they're all watching it. But in any case, this
I have a question for you about this, because what the hell is that tool that Hermes pulls out? I know it's not a giant spoon.
Yeah.
And then he scoops a big giant chunk of popcorn out to eat it.
Yeah, what is that? What is that sport called? Like, is it called scoop ball or something? Do you remember that?
I know they made fun of it on Archer. I think it's like Pele or something like that.
Oh, I can't actually remember what the name of it, but I think it's the tool, because you have to scoop that up with the ball, and then
I think it's attached to your hand. Yeah, I don't think it's. Yeah. I don't know.
No, there's a handle. There's a handle to it, because I remember doing this in phys ed, but you actually have you'd have this thing. You don't remember this?
Oh wait, but maybe yes. Yeah. Memory just came back because it was so weird.
It was very strange, but you had to have like really, really good eye-hand coordination to like get the ball in there.
I was good at catching it, terrible at throwing it.
Sure, but I think that's what he's using. So he just scoops it up with the bowl of popcorn, scoops it up, and he like pours it into his mouth or something. I don't know why he has that, but yeah, I think that's what that is.
Is that a Jamaican thing? Like, is it like Jamaican? Is that like a Jamaican sport? Because the only sport that I know of that's for Jamaica is their sprinters. They got the best sprinters. And then also that one bobsled team that was, because we're from Calgary, the Cool Runnings with John Candy in it. That's the only thing I know about them. They had a terrible bobsledding team that got all the recognition in the world, which they have mentioned, I think, once or twice in Futurama.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then the sprinting.
Hermes mentions that. Yeah, no. Yeah. Well, considering that it's related to Hermes and his thing is limbo, I don't think it has something to do with Jamaica. We'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's just like the fact that it might be a Hermes quirk thing. He just happens to have a shovel thing like that, and he can just scoop them up. It's a lot more food. Or maybe they just needed something that was different from a bowl when they were animating. I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I also noticed then, because you probably noticed this, is that when the camera is going through Fry's ass and through his like intestine and everything into his colon, that's a 3D animation, right? This is where they use it. Yeah.
This doesn't bother me because they're changing perspective a lot, and that's a hard thing to do in doing 2D animation. I think I've said this multiple times. There's only like a few people that are amazing at it, and then you want to be the best, right? So just 3D is cheaper, it's easier.
And for something like an ass, I think it's okay. I think they just do it well enough. But in any case, the camera ends up going into showing off where Fry's colon, but it turns out to be like a relatively major city, I guess it's turned into now. Like it's a microscopic, obviously, because it's in his body, but it turns out to be run by worms, hence the name of the title, Parasites, right? So these are the worms We will see them again in the future, not very well, but we do see them for the first time here, and they have basically developed an entire city and system functioning within Fry. And yeah, that is the introduction to our worms as it is. So everyone is shocked by this.
Yeah, I remember Hermes going, "It's nauseating," and then he just continues to eat
Eats more food, right?
out of that weird scoop thing.
And then as soon as he does that, he asks, like, how do we get rid of the worms or whatever? And so the professor actually, for some reason, has already invented a tiny spaceship. He's already has it prepared. It's sitting right there in that room for them. So here's a tiny spaceship. So they have to make themselves tiny, not in the way that you would think. It's not by shrinking them down, as normal sci-fi would do. Nope. The professor has also invented a machine, and I hypothesize this is a machine that is like either a cousin to, or he's used the parts to, the What If machine, because it's the same coloring and the same like design as the What If machine is. The only difference is now it's kind of like one of those gumball machines, right? Or like a little toy thing would come out, but it's like very reminiscent of that. Yeah, it's very strange.
It could just be a sciencey thing where there's a base and then there's a screen.
Sure, but it's gold.
Yeah.
And it has like the same, and it's like in the same area as the What If machine is, kind of. So the professor has them scanned, and then they get to become like little tiny versions of themselves in these little robot forms. It's kind of, they're kind of similar to, what was that original, what's that toy called? Just like it comes out of like a gumball type machine, but it's not a gumball, obviously.
Oh God. As soon as you said it, that information is outside my brain. But it's those gumball machines. You get the little toy in those little, like, it's not like a Kinder Surprise thing, but it's like a Kinder Surprise thing. Yeah. Capsule. There we go. Capsule.
Little capsule. Yeah. So you open it up, and then it's like a little version of them, and they get to be put into there. So that's kind of fun. And he gives them like a bag with like, what is it? A parka, a disposable camera, and a harpoon.
Yeah, I love the harpoon. Yeah.
None of them ever actually really use any of those things, but yeah, it's fun. So their plan is that they have to go in there and they have to irritate the ganglion inside of Fry in order to have him have like some kind of giant bowel movement, which will then expel the worms from his body. Otherwise, they will stay in there. If they're there too long, then they will never leave, and it will be impossible for them to remove them. So everybody has to go with, aside from Leela. She's going to stay and distract Fry and make sure that he doesn't know what the others are doing, because then the worms are going to know. Overall, solid plan. It's very much reminiscent of like that Journey to the Center of the Universe type of thing. So they have to go take this exploration, they have to enter a certain way, and they have to be able to get through all like the problems and everything that goes through it, right? This being, of course, Fry and Fry's body, not including the worms. Like, it's just, so the first thing they have to do is they have to get inside through the ear. And when they do, it turns out, like, as they go through it, they go through the eardrum, and they notice that the brain is being, what are they doing? They're just tinkering with the brain, right? They're just making it.
Oh, I was gonna say jazzercise, but that's not what they're doing that with.
No, that's in the muscles. Yeah, they're tuning it, essentially making Fry smarter in some regard, right? So on the other side of this, as Leela is spending time with Fry, he shows off that he's actually a lot more articulate. He does like a nice little poem and a nice little expression of what roses mean to him and what flowers mean to him while he gives them to Leela, to which she's actually impressed.
Who the hell uses that word?
Apparently smart people do, Mitchell. Read more books. Or get these parasites.
Books about flower-smelling idiots.
So the crew escape, and they get through the nose, and they get bombarded by some nose
pollen.
The pollen, right? Yeah, the pollen from the flowers, because Fry happens to be smelling one of the flowers at the time, so they get attacked by the pollen attacking into his nostril. And Zoidberg makes an uncharacteristic remark that he knows something about human anatomy, because he tells them to escape through the nasal capillary. So, any case, he learned it from a commercial. This is a very dated reference, by the way. This is like over 20 years. So, they end up in the heart.
Muscle.
Yes. Well, Zoidberg also then shows his true understanding of human anatomy when he says where the food is digested. So I thought that was kind of, he's like, I know what humans are. And then he goes right back to, no, he doesn't know anything. It was a joke. So, but they're in the heart. And on the other side of this, or outside, Fry and Leela are at a puddle. Fry extends his hand to help Leela over the puddle, which she takes, causing Fry's heart to beat faster, thus making the Planet Express ship
go back and forth.
Serious danger again. So,
and that's how you should be. Be a gentleman, guys, ladies. Accept chivalry. Don't kill it.
Yeah, some chivalry is good once in a while, and also shows that you care, right? There's one thing about that, and Fry knows that, and that's why he's doing it, right? So as the worms are doing all this stuff, they're also cleaning his veins in his heart. I don't know if you picked up on this, but they're like cleaning off the cholesterol. So
Yes, we all need that, don't we?
I feel like some of us more than others, but yes, you're right. Sometimes we need to, eat a little bit healthier or whatever. But yeah.
What are you talking about? Sugar's not healthy?
Well, at this point, the worms have now severed a pipe and fixed his entire internal stomach area. They've fixed his eardrum. They've tuned up his brain. They've cleaned out his cholesterol. They're making his heart stronger and beat normally. Basically making him perfect in all regards, right? So they finally get down, and then we see this thing that you were mentioning, right? The worms are massaging and tending to his muscles or jazzercising them. You can hear like the music. And I think this is where Zoidberg also says another line of yours that you like.
No.
Where he says Fry will be both flexible and muscular like Gumbercules, right? Yeah. Well, that's what Zoidberg calls.
I love that guy.
Yeah. So we have Gumbercules apparently. And while they do this, Hermes makes mention that he's going to be, flexible and stronger like them, like Gumbercules. And we cut back to Fry and Leela, and they are having they're walking down the street still. And then we run into Sal, who Leela tries to okay, we should just ignore him. But Fry wants to stand up for her. This time he does it correctly. He also rips off his shirt and shows that he's jacked now.
Well, first I love what Leela says about Saul. This fact he's bulging with what could be muscles.
And that's when Fry rips off his shirt, and she's totally impressed. Yeah, Leela is not just about the emotion. She's all about the She's also about the physical looking as well. We know this. And as soon as Fry walks over and he says to Sal, "You owe this lady an apology," and he's like, "What are you going to do?" And then Fry proceeds to kick his ass, and he does. He does it very quickly.
He just does a judo throw.
Yeah, but he does it very well, and then he kicks him. I think he kicks him over to her as well, right? He does a nice front kick too, but he knocks him down. Sal apologizes to Leela, which also very much impresses her. And when the crew finally goes in and they enter the stomach from the inside, obviously, and they get there through the sphincter. And I think at this point, that's when the worms are starting to realize that there's something going on.
Yeah, they have little underwater stomach acid tanks. And I love this too, because Bender has been just abandoned ship, because when they were in the ear, Fry tried to dig him out.
Bender's a complete coward.
And as soon as he was in the nose, we're at finger alert 5, because there's
abandoned ship.
Fry picks his nose, and then I love Bender. He's abandoned ship, even though he's technically in a little tiny version of himself being remotely controlled by his actual self. So it's there's no danger whatsoever.
Yeah, he's just still very much a coward. He just doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So. No, that is the crew, but yeah, they've all made it through the whole thing. They've made it finally through the sphincter, and they end up in the colon, and where the worms reside, and they start attacking them. So they just have these laser guns they brought down, and they start shooting. I guess the worms also start defending themselves a little bit. They attack them a little bit, but they're winning. And so outside, Fry and Leela are having I guess coffee and tea at this little area right outside the Planet Express building. You can see the building, obviously. And Fry finally admits articulately
he loves her.
to Leela that he loves her and how he feels. And she's like, "Oh, wow." And she's kind of, I wouldn't say she was surprised, but...
We forgot to mention that at first she thought he was talking about Bender. Because that's how much Fry loves Bender, kind of thing. Because Bender's his best friend.
It wasn't love. It was it has something to do with it's something important I've been meaning to tell you. And then she says "Oh, is it about Bender?" He's like, "No, it's not about Bender. It's about you and me." And then she says, "Oh, and Bender."
Yeah.
Because it must be something with Bender. Yeah. But he's like, "No, Bender's not involved." And then he says "I love you," kind of.
I love you. Yeah.
So this is I think she takes that into mind, because Bender and Fry have always been they're best friends, obviously, right? But then it's also kind of a nod to the fact that the three of them are a trio, right? They're always together, so it must be with all three. So Leela says "Well, I didn't know I don't know what to say, whatever." And it wasn't until recently, and Fry kind of gives himself away and says "Until recently, I didn't know how to tell you." And so Leela figures out, must be about the worms.
Must be the worms, yeah.
So Leela, and this shows a lot of character about Leela. She would rather have this than, who Fry actually is at this point. But she goes into the building. She does the same thing they did. She has wonderful aim, by the way. She shoots herself, her tiny little self, into a teacup that Fry's having across the street, so he drinks it, and then proceeds to go into them and somehow makes it back to them before they get to where they're going to make that
the gangly spleen or whatever it's called, the gangly something,
whatever, the tickling the thing to make him have a bowel movement, right? She gets to them before, and also somehow also has like a tiny little axe. I guess she could have found that elsewhere, but in any case, she has the axe, and as soon as she finds them, basically barricade or destroys them all, and absolutely makes it impossible for them to do that to Fry. She wants Fry to have the worms. They all wake up from, well, not wake up, but they all like get cut off from their machines because Leela murdered them all as the machine form down below. So they all wake up, and Fry comes up and says like, okay, like you guys got to tell me what's going on. And he goes, they all tell him. Oh, mind you, I want to say this as well. So Fry says, I will be in the lounge, but then they all end up in like, I always call this like the headquarters, not the headquarters, like the headquarters. Like this is where their meeting room is.
Yeah,
the lounge
it's like the kitchen.
It's like the kitchen area, right? Like this is not the lounge.
No, I don't think we've actually seen the lounge, because the lounge that I think that you're thinking about, it was from the What If machine, right?
Yeah.
Where Leela killed Nibbler, Q-Birds, and Scruffy with the same sword.
So we haven't actually seen that in
a
real, so to speak, episode either, have we?
They also later in the Comedy Central run, when they're doing the heist for the Wongs, and like, how come we've never been in this chart room before? Yes, this chart will say why hasn't been used till this time now, right? It's just one of those things. It's a building. We only really see like three places: the couch and TV room, and then the ship, and then this table here. It's like a few places.
Yeah, well, because you can kind of imagine where all of them are, because I think that door that is from where they're all sitting when they do their meeting room, and that's also where the hangar is for the ship, right? And the kitchen. Yeah. That door that's right behind them, that goes to where their sitting room and like where the TV is and everything. I believe that's where that goes, and then a little bit farther that way, that's where the front entrance is, right?
We also got his actual like laboratory too, which we saw where they were doing.
Yes. Oh, I think that's around the other side. But they tell Fry he has worms, and Fry at first, it seems like he's a little. I guess he's okay with it at first, because it means that he and Leela are kind of together, because that way he can actually be the best person he can be for her. So this is the key thing. When it comes to Fry and Leela, because you and I have talked about this in like a discussion as well. When it comes to this, Fry has done almost everything he can to try to appease her. And he's always been trying to be perfect for her, right? And this has been the closest he's ever been. And we see this because this is also another thing I really like about this episode. So everybody's kind of like getting a hint about their relationship at this point as well. But she invites him over. I think it's the first time we see Leela's apartment. It's very plain, very basic. She gets more stuff later, but whatever. She goes inside.
I do love this joke right here.
About the
apartment one eye. The old me would have made fun of that. Which, like, even pointing it out is still making fun of it. Just you're not laughing, you're not joking about it. You're just like, that's funny. I would have said something about it.
I would have made a joke. Yeah, that is the joke that you already know this kind of thing. But that's fair. But they go inside, and Fry's also brought with him something that I wish was a real thing, but I don't know how to describe it. Is it kind of like, so it's called the holophoner?
Oh, the
holophoner.
Yeah,
so the holophoner, which is basically, so it makes holograms, hence that, but it's an instrument, and I think it's basically like your intention with your music projects on weird, a hologram or something, right? Yeah, well, I don't quite understand. I mean, you're not supposed to. This is the suspension of disbelief thing all over, but I think it's supposed to be whatever you're trying to say through your music comes out as a picture. And this is, exactly. And so if you're afraid, things happen that show that you're afraid of something. If you think something's not as good, the picture kind of turns on you. Like this is kind of what we've seen in the future with the whole right?
How many times do we see this device? I think we only see it in 2 episodes, to be honest. We see it in this one and then the series finale, the series first finale.
Yes, I think that is the only time, and maybe a couple times throughout the
Yeah,
rest.
they're
The
at
show
a
came out.
concert or something like that, and it's just a
Yeah,
kid playing it or something. It's only a handful of times, but like,
yeah.
yeah, I think skill and intention, I think, are help how
All
the
right, yeah.
holograms look, because
Right, because yeah, Fry
Lila
turns
said
out
there's
to
only
be
like 7
yeah.
people that can play this, and they suck, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, they're not very good at it. Yeah, but then in the future we also see what, as you're talking about that with the series finale, the first one, when Fry
Devil's
does have
hands,
the
or I don't
ability
know.
to make, because he
Swap his
claims that
hands
his
with the devil.
hands, yeah, he claims his hands don't work as well with his brain. So
Yeah.
his hand-eye coordination is the reason that he actually has problems playing this holophoner. But I don't know. There's something off about it. But when he gets different hands, then yeah, he's at least able to put on like a performance. Like he's able to create like an entire opera. So I don't know, actually. Maybe Fry is just super gifted in the holophoner, but it's his hands and his brain that kind of keep him from doing anything. So when he's perfect,
Well, you
as the
growing up,
parasites kick in.
you
Yeah.
played this. What was it? The alto saxophone or tenor saxophone?
Oh, the tenor saxophone. I also
Tenor
played the
saxophone.
clarinet. So yeah,
The
like
clarinet, yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and I was a brass, the superior instrument player.
Please,
I played the euphonium, which is a
yeah.
small tuba, and then
The
I
trombone,
ventured to play. Yeah, I played the trombone, which is just a
which has
slide
no
thing,
buttons.
which has no buttons,
Exactly.
which ultimately is even more skillful when you actually think about it. Oh
Whatever.
yeah. Uh, I pro-
Please.
I probably could play
Clarinets, you
that.
had to like woodwind instruments, you needed to have the reeds, you had to make sure
Yeah.
the reeds were well kept, you had to make
Yeah.
sure they were like wet enough, you had to
Gross.
have the right amount of air, you had to cover the right hole to get the right octaves. Please. Woodwinds were a hell of a lot more skilled than the brass instruments.
No, they weren't.
The trumpet, for God's sakes, only has 3 buttons.
Yeah. 3 buttons. You know how many combinations of 3 buttons you can do?
I do.
1 up, 3 down, 2 down, 1 up, the other 2 down. Oh,
Yeah.
there's so many things. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 variations,
Any
Anthony. Oh no, 7.
Yeah.
7.
But the holophone
No
is
buttons.
clearly based after what type of instrument, Mitchell? It's a
Uh,
woodwind. It's clearly a woodwind
clarinet
instrument.
probably. Yeah.
It's clearly
I was thinking
a clarinet.
oboe.
Either both are woodwind instruments. It doesn't matter. You know that as well as I do. So, any case, with this holophoner woodwind inspired instrument, Fry clearly demonstrates his love for Leela and has a lot of beautiful pictures, a lot of really
Well,
cool things.
I also
Yeah.
love it because it sounds like an orchestra in a way, which is just one instrument, right? So like
Yeah.
if
It's
this
a blended music.
fictional device
Mhm.
probably has like each finger has to like be in control of like 20 buttons, but when you look at it, there's only like probably like 6 buttons and stuff like that. Again, it's skill and intention with holograms and sound. Like I don't know how it works. It's a fun tool that
It's
they
a fun
created.
instrument, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
fun tool that they instrument. Sorry.
it also shows as well because like we learn. I don't think we've learned yet, but Leela also has like a huge crush on musicians, right? Like
Yeah.
she loves musicians. So she talks about like her ex-boyfriend Sean like a couple times later in the series, and he was like a big musician or something. So there's something about that. I wonder if Fry knew that beforehand, and that's why he's taking up the holophoner. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes.
Exactly what it is,
I
but
think we did because when Zoidberg went to his planet last season or something like that,
right.
and Fry had to teach him like you just look in their eyes and say this,
right.
and it's all a lie,
So
man.
happy.
He's like
Right.
my last
yes,
boyfriend did that, even Sean.
Right. Okay, so we have had mention of Sean at that early stage, right? So, any case, he makes these beautiful pictures, them dancing, them as different creatures, the universe and everything, just really, really cool. He finishes.
It's really cool.
She clearly just like doesn't say a word, just takes his hand and brings him to her bedroom, like she's completely smitten, and they start like
Freaking
getting together, all this
man.
kind of stuff. But then she lets slip this time that she loves Fry for what he has become, and Fry obviously
what
because
I've become.
Fry's not dumb anymore. He realizes there's a difference between who you are and what you've become. So Fry leaves to go confront the worms and himself. So he makes himself a little tiny robot back at the Planet Express crew. I want to mention as well, like he leaves Leela, like she stays there waiting for him. So he goes, he picks himself up, puts himself into his ass. Like there's a joke in there.
Drops it down his pants. He just drops it down his pants.
But he goes inside his own ass.
Yeah.
That's how he enters. So, anyways, Fry shows up, and there's some really cool things here. He shows up, and he's like, I'm looking for the person who runs this place, and who wants to know?
Yeah,
And then he points to a statue of himself of Fry, and it's like, it says like the known universe. And the parasites refer to him as Universe. They don't call him Fry or like the Lord or King or something. They call him Universe. I think he's God. Like he's everything to them. I want to stress this for the people who listen to our discussion about the new series and when Parasites Regained came out. Like, hello, why were the parasites in that episode? Why?
For this, remember that. Remember. Hey
So
guys,
dumb.
you remember the good
dumb.
stuff? Well, here's the new stuff. It's not as good.
So, any case, Fry confronts them. They refuse to leave after he asks them, and so he gets into a sword fight because they have swords, whatever. And Fry willingly cuts himself. Like they get to the brain, he cuts his own brain up in parts just to prove a point that he would do anything to get them out of his head or out of his body rather. And so when it comes to the point where he's about to kill himself and thus them, they leave. And he goes back almost instantly to being the Fry we all love. Yeah. So he returns to Leela, who I do have to say this is pretty funny. So she's like, she was reading something, and then she also got dressed up in like the sexy lingerie for him to return. And then when he does come back, she notices right away he's reverted back to, childish, immature, silly Fry.
I do love this too. What he says, like, I even got a little bag, like a Ziploc bag of rubbing oil. Like, come on.
Not even that. It's the oil that he's going to rub on her back, just like he used to do with Amy. That was the key thing that he referenced her as well, because that really pissed off. Like, as soon as that happened, he's like, uh-oh. And she, like, hands him the holophoner. Oh, sorry, and he does try to play the holophoner one more time, and it turns into, like, this Frankenstein's monster of an image because he got freaked out and started thinking about neck bolts or something. But
I got freaked out and started thinking about neck bolts like Frankenstein.
The last scene of it is with Bender and Fry back in their apartment, and Fry's feeling sorry for himself again, and Bender's basically just saying, like, sucks for you, man, but my life is great. So he leaves, but we leave on Fry in his own room in the dark with the holophoner and a I think it's a children's, like,
my first holophoner,
and he's teaching himself to play the holophoner, and he's trying to make something for Leela. That is the final scene of this, and it's beautiful. It's really nice.
Yes.
And he actually does make like a nice, like, crude image of her in the holophoner, and he's like impressed. So yeah, that ends with Parasites Lost. So honestly, man, I still hold that this episode is probably, in the whole series, I'll say Parasites Lost is probably one of the top 5 episodes for most people, within the top 5.
Oh, I'd agree with that, but I don't think it's like like what Futurama episode would be the Futurama episode that says everything about Futurama.
All's well that ends. Roswell that ends well.
That one, I would closely agree with you on that one, because that one does say that he has that weird brainwave because he's his own grandpa. And also just how funny Zoidberg is, the professor's weird. Oh my God, it's all that stuff.
I can't wait to get to that episode. But also Parabox 1 with the
I think that one's more of a niche-like one, but I agree with you that it is a great one.
I think it's important, though. And then the brain and the day the Earth stood stupid is definitely important. And this is just talking about the original run. That's what I would say.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the Comedy Central one was different, but it was still good. And the most recent one is very different and less than good.
Definitely not good. We can admit to that.
Freaking Wikipedia, man. It just likes to go with the volumes rather than the actual episodes.
I know. Any case, let's get into Parasites Lost. Your favorite scene, joke.
There's a lot. Like
so many.
I think one of my favorite ones is there's 2 of them, and I actually have a little list here of something. It's not something that you'll love, but it's something the viewers might love, or listeners. Sure. So I think when Fry's threatening himself, and they're like, no one would knowingly make themselves an idiot, and he's like, clearly you've never been in love. He's like, I was born in a spore. From a spore? What do you want from me?
Sure,
I do like that. And Zoidberg doing all his stuff too when they're in there, especially when he gets outside the ship and takes the cholesterol, and so it spreads like bad cholesterol, but it tastes like good cholesterol. And just like, I think that's funny.
Let's see, my favorite joke.
Yeah, I still don't have a top one, but I'll say whether it's a Zoidberg one or a Fry one.
Sure. I think it's up there for a lot of those ones. I do enjoy when they're okay. So I actually do really like the whole process of the crew going through Fry when he's unaware, right? And they go through like all of his body parts. I think that's really well done.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of like a crude version of the Magic School Bus. Do you remember that? But this really reminded me of it, and having them go through like the ear to the brain, the nose, like the heart, all that stuff. I thought that was really, really cool. I also did like all their little jokes about like, we'll have like nobody make a sound.
What?
What? And then
what about what?
What about what? Yeah. And
it's a very good episode. I do enjoy it. There's last episode,
abandoned ship. I do like that a few times.
The Chronic Woman had a lot of jokes in it and very little story. This one had probably an equal amount of both. It was good story and good jokes.
Strong story.
And written by Eric Kaplan. Eric Kaplan.
Oh, okay.
And
sure.
he did a lot of he did a lot of the big ones. The Hell is for Other Robots, Jurassic Park, which I think I said that most people would agree that's one of their favorite ones.
Sure.
So he does have a good amount of episodes quality wise under his belt. So
sure.
I do like this one. I would say it's probably one of my favorites. And
who would be your MVP then?
MVP. Oh geez, I'd say Fry.
Okay.
Because
I'm gonna go with the Professor.
Professor did a good job, but just the whole episode is based around Fry, and Fry actually continues the plot rather than just is the plot, I guess I would say.
Sure.
And he continues it, and it's like, no, I'm gonna love Leela in my way, not from what you made me, kind of thing, right? But after looking at this, Leela's kind of a bit of a jerk when you think about it. She only likes Fry because he's the best version of himself.
When he's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, when he's perfect. And
that's
I don't know if it's a commentary on women kind of thing. They love perfect men, but there's no such thing as a perfect man. And vice versa.
Yeah, I don't think it's a commentary about women in general, but I think in terms of like Leela's character, because Leela always says like, I'm not looking for. I mean, I think there's a joke she also says like, I'm not, like during the Valentine's Day episode or whatever, like she's like, I'm not looking for anybody like perfect or whatever. Maybe just like, little tall, has a nice jaw, or like all these little things that she ends up just being like perfect, right? And no lizard tongue or something like this, right? Like Leela is super hypocritical, and we don't really get to see her. We don't really confront that very often. So here we actually see her be confronted when Fry he's smart, when he's smart enough to realize it's not really him. He goes and changes it just to prove a point, and then she has to follow through with that, right? And it's not until like the end of the series that we kind of see her finally kind of opening up to it, right? So sorry, what were you gonna say?
It's a good episode, but like after reviewing and looking through, I didn't like Leela too much in this episode, even though she's funny in this one. But no,
she's.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I do like about Leela, is that she's human. She's human. She wants perfection, despite the fact that she herself is not perfect, and she just doesn't admit it. So no, overall, I think this episode's wonderful, one of the best episodes in the series, and it's a good one. So
I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. I'm pretty sure I could probably find some small problems with it. It's close to as perfect as it could be without giving it full marks.
Yep, I agree. I absolutely agree. So with that, we'll finish off here with Parasites Lost, and we'll see everyone next time for Season 3, Episode 5, Amazon Women in the Mood. So thank you again, Mitchell. One. Yeah, another good one. Thank you, Mitchell, for joining me, and have yourself a great rest of your day.
I will, as you do you, and I shall say toodaloo.
Nice.